Here's the hard truth for older men. You don't lose younger women because of your age. You lose them because you forget your edge. You're in your 40s, 50s, or even 60s. You've lived through storms, built a life, survived heartbreak, and gained wisdom. Then she shows up, a younger woman. She's vibrant, playful, full of energy, and for some reason, she gives you real attention, not just polite small talk, but real interest. Suddenly, you feel alive again. Your ego wakes up, and that's exactly where most men start making the mistakes that kill attraction. They shrink themselves to fit into her world. They try to act younger, chase trends, or force relatability. They text more, praise more, bend more, until they lose the very thing that drew her in from the start: a calm presence, lived experience, and unshakable standards. This video isn't about tricks. It isn't about manipulation. It's about clarity, about keeping your dignity, your masculinity, and your self-respect intact in the face of temptation. Because there are 7 deadly mistakes older men make with younger women. And if you fall into them, she won't see a man, she'll see a performer. But if you avoid them, you'll stand out as rare, a rock, a man she can't shake. So buckle up, because today we're breaking down the truth. This is Stoic Truth 101, and these are 7 things you must never do with a younger woman if you're an older man. One of the most common mistakes older men make when dealing with younger women is this: they try to shrink themselves down into her world instead of standing firmly in their own. It usually starts with good intentions. You want to connect. You want to seem relatable. You want to show her you get it. So you adjust your style, your tone, your interests. Maybe you start quoting TikTok trends. Maybe you mimic the slang she uses. Maybe you even change the way you dress to match her generation. But here's the truth: the moment you do that, you don't look relatable. You look insecure. And women, especially younger women, have a radar for insecurity. They can feel it instantly. And once they feel it, attraction begins to die. The paradox of trying too hard. Think about it. What drew her to you in the first place? It wasn't your ability to act like you're 22. It was the contrast. You're older. You've lived. You've survived things she hasn't even faced yet. You carry weight, experience, and presence. That's your edge. That's your advantage. But when you shrink yourself down to her world, you throw all of that away. Instead of being the mountain she admires, you become another guy trying to fit into her scene. And she already has plenty of those. Real example. Picture this. You're on a date with a younger woman. She brings up her favorite influencer, someone half your age, someone you've never even heard of. Now, you've got 2 choices. Choice 1, fake it. Pretend you know who that influencer is. Laugh. Nod. Maybe even pull out your phone to scroll through their profile just to look current. She'll smile politely. But deep down, she knows exactly what you're doing. Choice 2. Stay grounded. Look her in the eye and say, "I don't really follow that stuff. I'm more into conversations that don't disappear in 24 hours. Do you see the difference?" One option makes you look like a man chasing relevance. The other makes you look like a man who already has it. And which one do you think sticks in her mind later? The man who tried to be cool, or the man who stayed calm, confident, and completely himself? The Stoic lesson, Stoicism, teaches us to remain unmoved by the noise of the crowd. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "If you are pained by external things, it is not they that disturb you, but your own judgment of them." The same applies here. If you believe your age is a weakness, you'll overcompensate and try to act younger. But if you see your age as your strength, you'll lean into it. Because here's the truth, your years are not a liability, they're your leverage. You've been through storms, heartbreaks, victories, losses, lessons. That gives you presence. And presence is what makes younger women lean in, not slang or fashion trends. Why shrinking never works when you chase her world. Here's what happens. 1. She loses respect. You stop being the man she looks up to and become another guy competing for her approval. 2. You lose your frame. Instead of leading, you start following. And once you follow, the dynamic flips. 3. She gets bored. Younger women are surrounded by guys who are just like them. What excites them is difference, not similarity. So, by trying to fit in, you erase the very difference that made you attractive in the first place, the masculine alternative. So what should you do instead? Simple: stand in your world. Let her run around with youthful energy. And you remain still, calm, collected. You don't need to compete with her age. You embody your own. When she brings up trends you don't know, you don't fake it. You stay curious, but not apologetic. When she talks about her chaotic schedule, you don't try to match it. You move at your own pace. You're not here to prove you can keep up. You're here to show her what it feels like to slow down, to step into the presence of a man who's already complete. The effect on her. Here's the paradox: the less you try to act like her, the more magnetic you become. Why? Because most guys in her world are mirrors. They reflect her back to herself. But you're a window into something she doesn't have. Stability, wisdom, mystery. That's intoxicating. That's what makes her think about you when you're not around. That's what separates you from every 20-something chasing her attention. The trap of relatability. Don't misunderstand me. This doesn't mean you should be closed off or dismissive. You can still be curious. You can still listen. But curiosity is not the same as mimicry. The trap is believing you have to relate to connect. You don't. You just have to be authentic. Connection comes from truth, not imitation. And your truth as an older man is this: you've lived more. You've seen more. You carry more. That's what she finds compelling. Don't throw it away to look cool. Bottom line, when you're an older man with a younger woman, never shrink yourself to fit into her world. Never fake youth to impress her. Your power isn't in being her peer. Your power is in being her opposite. You are calm where she is chaotic. You are steady where she is unpredictable. You are timeless where she is temporary. And the moment you stop trying to be relatable, you become magnetic. One of the biggest traps older men fall into with younger women isn't about money, looks, or even trying to act young. It's emotional. They start becoming her therapist instead of her man. It begins innocently. She opens up about her past. Maybe her ex treated her badly. Maybe her parents were absent. Maybe she's dealing with anxiety, confusion, or trying to figure herself out. You listen. You comfort. You step into the role of the wise, older man who understands her in ways guys her age can't. At first, it feels good. You feel needed. You think you're building intimacy. You believe, if I'm the one who listens, she'll want me more than them. But what actually happens? You don't build attraction, you build dependency. You don't become her desire, you become her emotional sponge. Why being the sponge kills attraction? There's a huge difference between being emotionally grounded and being emotionally absorbent. Grounded you listen with calm. You understand without getting pulled in. You give perspective, but you keep your peace. Absorbent. You soak up every crisis. You carry her pain. You jump to fix every problem. The first builds respect. The second kills it. Because, here's the truth, women, especially younger women, don't fall for the man who takes on all their chaos. They fall for the man who refuses to get pulled into it. If she can unload all her drama on you without consequence, she won't see you as her lover. She'll see you as her safety net, her emotional crutch, her midnight call when she feels lonely. And that's not attraction, that's convenience. Real example. Imagine she calls you at midnight, crying about how another guy ghosted her. Most older men in this situation think, this is my chance to show her I'm different. I'll be there for her. I'll listen. I'll comfort. I'll rescue. So you stay on the phone for hours, reassuring her, absorbing every detail of her emotional mess. But here's what happens. The next day she feels lighter, but not closer. She feels better, but not more attracted. Because she didn't lean on you as a man, she used you as a therapist. Now picture a different response. Same call. Same tears. Instead of diving in to fix, you stay calm and simply say, that sounds like a lot. I hope you give yourself the space to figure it out. You've acknowledged her pain without carrying it. You've shown presence without surrender. That one sentence is more attractive than 3 hours of emotional hand-holding because it shows strength. The Stoic lesson. Epictetus taught, we suffer more often in imagination than in reality. And that's exactly what happens when you become her sponge. You start suffering from problems that aren't even yours. A Stoic man doesn't confuse empathy with entanglement. He knows the difference between compassion and codependency. He listens, but he doesn't lose himself. He offers perspective, but he doesn't sacrifice his peace. This doesn't make you cold. It makes you strong. Because true strength isn't absorbing someone's storm, it's staying calm in the middle of it. Why this mistake is common. So, why do older men fall into this trap so easily? Because it feels good to be needed. After years of rejection, divorce, or heartbreak, being the one she turns to makes you feel important. But here's the danger. Need is not the same as desire. A younger woman may need you for stability. She may need you for comfort. But desire is what keeps her obsessed. And desire is not born from you rescuing her. It's born from you refusing to lose yourself in her chaos, the masculine alternative. The alternative is simple but powerful. Be present, not absorbent. If she vents, you listen calmly. If she cries, you don't panic. If she spirals, you don't chase her emotions. Your calm becomes the contrast to her chaos. Your stability becomes the thing she admires. Instead of being the guy who drowns in her problems, you become the man she can lean on without ever pulling you under. That difference is magnetic. Another real example. Let's say you're dating a 25-year-old who has drama with her roommates. She storms into your place, venting about how everyone is against her. The sponge response: you jump in, take her side, get angry with her, and fuel the fire. You get dragged into the drama. The Stoic response: you listen, nod, and then calmly ask, "What do you think you can do about it?" That one question flips the frame. You're not her savior. You're her mirror. And suddenly she sees you not as a man who drowns with her, but as a man who helps her rise. Bottom line. Older men lose respect with younger women, not by being too cold, but by being too absorbent. Don't confuse her attention for attraction. Don't mistake her late-night calls for intimacy. You are not her therapist. You are not her emotional sponge. You are her mirror, her standard, her frame. A Stoic man doesn't get pulled into every storm. He stands firm, unshaken. And when you do that, she doesn't just see a man who listens. She sees a man who can't be broken. That's the man she respects. That's the man she desires. If Chapter 2 was about not becoming her therapist, Chapter 3 is about something even more subtle, but just as dangerous: chasing her validation. It doesn't always look desperate at first. In fact, it often looks polite, caring, even romantic. But underneath, it's the same mistake that kills attraction every time. Here's the brutal truth. The moment you need her approval, you stop being a man and start being a performer. How men fall into this trap. It usually starts small. She takes longer to reply, so you send a second text just to keep the conversation alive. She pulls back a little, so you push harder with compliments. You adjust your opinions just to avoid upsetting her. In your mind, you're keeping the connection. In reality, you're chasing her validation, and the moment she senses it, her respect begins to fade. Because here's something most men forget. Women aren't obsessed with men who seek their approval. They're obsessed with men who don't need it. Real example. Imagine you text a younger woman. She takes 5 hours to reply. Most men in that situation panic. They overthink. Did I say something wrong? Should I send another message? Should I post something to get her attention? That panic is validation chasing. Now picture a different response. She takes 5 hours, and you don't flinch. You keep living your life. You go to the gym. You handle business. You stay calm. When she finally responds, you reply when you're free, not when you're desperate. That small shift tells her everything. You're not orbiting her world. You're not waiting like a puppy for scraps of attention. You're centered, and that energy is what makes her lean in. The Stoic lesson Marcus Aurelius once wrote: "We all love ourselves more than other people. but care more about their opinion than our own. That's exactly the trap of validation chasing. You value her opinion of you more than your own. You bend your truth to keep her comfortable. You sacrifice your standards just to earn her smile. But Stoicism teaches the opposite. Your worth doesn't come from applause, it comes from alignment. When you stop needing her validation, you start embodying real masculine power. Why validation chasing is deadly. Here's why this mistake is so destructive. 1. It flips the dynamic. Instead of her proving herself to you, you're trying to prove yourself to her. 2. It breeds testing. Once she senses you'll bend, she'll push harder just to see how far, not out of cruelty, but instinct. 3. It erodes respect. A woman cannot respect a man who filters his truth to keep her approval, and without respect, attraction ceases. The masculine alternative. So, what should you do instead? Simple lead from center. If she takes hours to reply, don't chase. You live your life. If she tests you, don't fold. You hold your standards. If she disagrees, you don't panic. You listen, but you don't betray your truth. That's what makes you magnetic. Not perfect lines, not clever responses, but the unshakable presence of a man who refuses to trade his identity for approval. Another real example. Let's talk about Tom. Tom was 48, divorced, and successful. He started dating a 28-year-old. At first, it was exciting, but slowly, Tom slipped into the validation trap. He started planning expensive dinners just to impress her. He complimented her constantly, hoping she'd stay interested. He softened his opinions just to avoid conflict. At first, she smiled, but soon, she pulled back. She grew distant. Finally, she told him, "I don't feel the spark anymore." What she really meant was, "You lost your edge." Months later, Tom changed. He stopped chasing validation. He focused on himself, rebuilt his mission, and carried himself with calm confidence. That same woman reached back out, not because he begged, but because she could feel the difference. That's the paradox when you stop chasing approval. Women start chasing you. The scarcity illusion. Many older men fall into validation chasing because they believe this lie: if I lose her, I won't get another chance like this. That's scarcity talking, and scarcity makes you weak. The truth is, you don't lose by holding standards. You lose by betraying them. A man who chases validation may keep her for a while, but he loses her respect. A man who stands firm may lose her temporarily, but he gains his power forever. And power is always more attractive than desperation. Signs you're chasing validation. You text more than she does. You change your opinions just to agree with her. You hesitate to say no. You worry more about what she thinks than about your own standards. If any of those sound familiar, you're not leading, you're chasing. Bottom line, older men don't lose women because of age. They lose them because they chase validation. The moment you need her approval, you lose your center. And the moment you lose your center, she loses her respect. So stop chasing. Stop begging. Stop bending. Lead from truth. Stand in your frame. And remember, the only validation that matters is the one you give yourself. Here's where so many older men sabotage themselves without even realizing it. They think they need to perform to keep a younger woman's attention. They believe they have to constantly impress her with flashy dinners, expensive gifts, clever lines, or endless effort. But here's the problem. The moment you shift from leading to performing, you move out of masculinity and into desperation. You stop being the man in the frame, and you become the contestant auditioning for her approval. And no matter how subtle it feels, she senses it instantly. The performer trap. It happens like this. You meet a younger woman. She's beautiful, magnetic, and you feel lucky she's giving you attention. So what do? You double down on trying to impress her. You rush to book the best restaurant. You talk more about your career, your travels, your success. You dress differently just to catch her eye. You carefully word your texts so they land perfectly. And in your mind, you're doing the right thing. You're showing effort. You're proving you're worth it. But in her mind, she sees a man who's trying too hard. A man who's not grounded. A man who shifted from leading to performing. And the second you start performing, she stops seeing you as the prize. Real example. Imagine two men on a date with the same younger woman. The performer, he's nervous, talking non-stop about his success, ordering the most expensive wine, and laughing a little too hard at her jokes. He asks what she wants to do, afraid to make the wrong choice. He's auditioning. The leader. He's calm. He chose a quiet place he enjoys. Not to impress, but because it aligns with who he is. He asks questions about her values, not just her hobbies. When the bill comes, he handles it without drama, without flaunting. He's not trying to win her, he's showing her his world. Which man do you think she'll remember tomorrow? The one who performed, or the one who led with presence? Exactly. The Stoic lesson: leadership doesn't mean dominance. It doesn't mean barking orders or acting superior. It means direction, stability, and calm confidence. Epictetus said, "No man is free who is not master of himself." That's what leadership is. Mastery of yourself, clarity of direction, not waiting for permission to move forward. You don't ask her, "What do you want me to be?" You show her, "This is who I am," and then you let her choose whether to align with it or not. Why performing fails? Here's why performing is a dead end. 1. It flips the roles. Instead of her proving herself to you, you're proving yourself to her. 2. It breeds pressure. She feels like she has the power, and you're chasing. That kills desire. 3. It erodes respect. Women respect men who hold the frame, not men who surrender it for applause. Performing might get her attention for a night. Leading gets her respect for the long term. The masculine alternative. So, what does leadership look like in practice? You choose the place because you already know what you like. You don't talk to impress. You talk to connect. You don't overshare just to sound deep. You share naturally. When the moment feels right, you don't look for her reaction after every word. You stay calm, present, grounded. Leadership is subtle. It's not loud. It's not arrogant. It's quiet confidence, the kind that makes her lean in because she feels safe in your direction. Another real example. Let's talk about Dan. Dan was 52, successful, and used to performing every time he dated a younger woman. He tried to win her with expensive dinners, travel stories, and constant attention. It worked at first, but within weeks, they pulled back. Then Dan changed. Instead of performing, he started leading. He chose dates that fit his lifestyle: hikes, art galleries, quiet dinners. He didn't oversell himself. He stayed calm, unshaken. He wasn't trying to win anyone. He was living his life and letting women step into it. And what happened? Younger women stopped seeing him as just another rich, older guy trying too hard. They saw him as a man with presence, direction, and standards. Because here's the secret: leadership doesn't chase. Leadership attracts. Signs you're performing, not leading. You overthink every text. You try to outdo yourself with every date. You brag about your achievements instead of letting them speak for themselves. You hesitate to disagree because you don't want to upset her. If that sounds familiar, you're not leading. You're performing. Bottom line, you're not here to impress her. You're here to lead. Performers come and go. Leaders remain unforgettable. So stop auditioning. Stop trying to win her like a prize. Show her your direction, your standards, your presence, and let her decide if she wants to join that world. Because when you stop performing and start leading, you stop being a contestant in her game. You become the man who writes the rules, and that's the man she can't stop thinking about. This is one of the most dangerous traps older men fall into with younger women, and it happens faster than most even realize. You meet her. She's young, radiant, full of energy. The chemistry is strong. She laughs at your jokes. She texts back quickly. She touches your arm when she talks. And before you know it, your mind starts racing ahead of reality. You start picturing vacations together. You imagine bringing her to meet your friends or your family. You even start wondering what it would be like if things got serious, long-term serious. And here's the brutal truth. The moment you start projecting a fantasy, you stop seeing her clearly. The fantasy trap projection is sneaky because it feels good. You're not imagining just her, you're imagining possibility. You're imagining how good life could feel with her beside you. But when you project too soon, you blind yourself. You stop evaluating who she really is and start responding to who you hope she is. That's why older men so often ignore red flags with younger women. They're not seeing her patterns. They're seeing their fantasy. Real example. Let's talk about Dean. Dean was 52. Successful. Confident. He met a woman in her mid-20s, playful, magnetic, exciting. Within 2 weeks, Dean told his friends, "I think she could be the one." He started changing his schedule to fit hers. He postponed a work trip. He shifted his routines. He even started talking about future vacations with her. But here's the problem. She wasn't showing the same commitment. She cancelled plans last minute. She disappeared for a few days with no explanation. She gave mixed signals. Dean ignored it all. Why? Because he was in love with the fantasy of what she could be. not the reality of who she was showing herself to be. 3 months later, she ghosted him completely. No warning, no closure. Dean wasn't grieving the woman, he was grieving the story he had written in his own head. The Stoic lesson Epictetus taught: when you are about to put your hand to something, remind yourself what it is. Dating isn't fantasy building. It's data collection. Your job in the early stages isn't to imagine where it might go. It's to observe who she really is. How does she act under stress? Does she keep her word? Does she respect your time? How does she treat people when no one's watching? That's reality. And reality always reveals more than your imagination ever could. Why fantasizing is so dangerous. Here's why projecting fantasies kills your frame. 1. You minimize red flags. You excuse bad behavior because it doesn't fit your dream. 2. You overinvest too soon. You give her time, energy, and attention she hasn't earned. 3. You pressure her. She feels the weight of your expectations, and instead of feeling drawn to you, she feels suffocated. Remember, she didn't ask to be your forever. She just showed up for today. And if you can't separate reality from fantasy, you'll scare her off and lose yourself in the process. The masculine alternative. So what should you do instead? Stay present. Stay curious. Stay grounded. When you meet a younger woman, you don't imagine 5 years from now. You focus on the next 5 minutes. Is she consistent? Is she respectful? Is she fun? Or is she chaos wrapped in a pretty package? You don't attach to potential, you observe patterns. Potential is fantasy. Patterns are truth. Another real example, Mark, 48, met a younger woman who was charming, exciting, and magnetic. After a few dates, he started fantasizing. He imagined what life would be like if she became his partner. He even adjusted his work hours to match her unpredictable schedule. But then he noticed something. She was inconsistent. She flaked on plans. She pulled away when things got serious. Old Mark would have ignored it. But this time, he didn't project. He observed. Instead of investing in the fantasy, he paid attention to reality. Within a month, he realized she wasn't consistent enough to build with. And instead of clinging, he walked away with his frame intact. That's the difference. The fantasy would have led him to heartbreak. Reality led him to freedom. How to catch yourself fantasizing? Ask yourself these questions. Am I imagining her as who she is, or who I want her to be? Am I overlooking behavior today because of what I hope for tomorrow? Am I investing more than she's actually earning? If the answer is yes, you're not dating her. You're dating your imagination. Bottom line, don't project fantasies too soon. Don't imagine 10 years when you've only seen 10 days. Don't give her the role of forever when she hasn't even proven herself in the present. Because here's the truth. Attraction is easy. Compatibility is tested. So slow down. Observe. Let her show you who she really is. And if she earns your depth, give it. If she doesn't, you move forward without apology. That's how a Stoic man dates. He doesn't chase castles in the sky. He builds foundations on reality. And reality always wins. Here's one of the hardest pills for older men to swallow. Sometimes you're not her first choice. Sometimes you're not even her second. You're her backup plan. And if you're not careful, you'll confuse her occasional attention for real attraction. You'll mistake convenience for connection, and you'll end up stuck in one of the weakest positions a man can be, in holding space for a woman who only sees you as her safety net. The backup plan trap. It usually looks like this. She texts you when she's bored, calls you when she's lonely, and flirts just enough to keep you around, but she never fully commits. One day she's warm and playful. The next day she disappears for a weekend with no explanation. Then she's back, acting like nothing happened. And because you like her, you justify it. You tell yourself, she's just busy. She's figuring things out. She'll come around, but deep down, you know the truth. You're not her priority. You're her filler. Real example: Paul was 47 when he met a 26-year-old through mutual friends. She was smart, magnetic, unpredictable. They hung out every couple of weeks. Great conversation, playful chemistry. But she never made anything official. Sometimes she'd ghost for days. Sometimes she'd call crying about another guy. And Paul, hoping to prove his value, always picked up. He thought being supportive would eventually win her over. But to her, Paul wasn't her man. He was her backup plan, her emotional crutch, her safe place when the man she really wanted wasn't around. And here's the cold truth. Women don't respect their backup plans. They use them. The Stoic lesson. Seneca once wrote, "Associate with those who will make a better man of you." The flip side is just as true. Avoid those who shrink you, who use you, who drain you. A Stoic man doesn't allow himself to be treated as an option. He knows his value. He refuses to give his time, energy, or emotional labor to someone who hasn't earned it. Because here's the truth: being a backup plan is self-betrayal. You start making yourself small, more agreeable, less honest, all to hold on to a connection that was never yours in the first place. Why men accept the backup role. Older men fall into this trap for one main reason: scarcity. They think, I'm older. If I lose her, I may not get another shot with someone this young and beautiful. So they settle for crumbs. They convince themselves that something is better than nothing. But here's the paradox. The moment you settle, you guarantee you'll never get the respect you crave. She won't admire you for sticking around. She'll see you as weak for tolerating it. And once respect is gone, attraction is gone with it. The masculine alternative. So what's the alternative? Be the standard, not the substitute. If she only calls when she's lonely, step back. If she flirts but never commits, don't play along. If she treats you like an option, remove yourself from the table. Not out of anger, not out of spite, out of self-respect. Because women don't fall for men who are always available no matter how little they give. They fall for men who value themselves enough to walk away from half-hearted effort. Another real example: Drew. In his early 50s, started seeing a woman in her 20s. She was fun, spontaneous, but inconsistent. One night she told him, "You're like my safe place." At first, it sounded sweet. But Drew realized what it really meant. She didn't see him as her man. She saw him as her safety net. That night, Drew stopped answering every call. He stopped being her emergency emotional support. He quietly stepped back. And here's the twist: 3 months later, she came chasing him. Why? Because he wasn't her puppet anymore. He had reclaimed his value. His absence spoke louder than all the hours he had spent being her shoulder to cry on. Signs you're her backup plan. She only contacts you when she's upset. Never when she's happy. She flirts, but avoids real commitment. She disappears and reappears without explanation. You feel more like her therapist than her man. If those sound familiar, you're not her priority. You're her option. Bottom line, don't ever accept the role of backup plan. Don't confuse attention with affection. Don't let yourself be used as emotional filler. You are not here to be a placeholder until someone else comes along. You are here to be the standard, the man who knows his value, the man who would rather walk away alone than stay where he's not respected. Because when you stop being her backup plan, you stop being forgettable. You become the man she remembers, the one she couldn't manipulate, the one she couldn't control, the one who walked away with dignity intact. And that man, that's the one she obsesses over. Here's where even strong men fall. It doesn't happen when she ignores you. It doesn't happen when she tests you. It happens when she makes you feel special. When the chemistry is high, when you start believing she's worth bending for. Little by little, you shift. You skip the gym. You postpone that business project. You put off a goal you've been chasing. You spend less time on your purpose and more time on your phone, waiting for her text. At first, it feels harmless, even romantic. You tell yourself, this is what it means to be in love, to sacrifice, to compromise. But here's the brutal truth. The moment you step off your mission for her, you start losing the very thing that made her attracted to you in the first place. Why mission matters. A younger woman doesn't respect a man who puts her above his mission. She may enjoy the attention for a while. She may even reward it with affection. But deep down, she feels something is off. Because women aren't drawn to men who orbit them. They're drawn to men who move on their own path, men with direction, vision, and purpose. Your mission is not just your career. It's your discipline, your health, your growth, your code. It's the thing that gives your life weight and meaning. And when you abandon it, you stop being the grounded, masculine presence she was drawn to. Real example: Jordan was 45, a successful executive. He met a younger woman in her mid-20s, smart, playful, magnetic. At first, things were incredible. She admired his drive, his confidence, his purpose. But over time, Jordan started bending. He skipped business trips just to be with her. He adjusted his mornings to match her late-night habits. He delayed investments because she wanted more time together. On the surface, it looked like love, but underneath, Jordan was drifting. He lost focus. He lost his edge. And eventually, he lost her. Why? Because she no longer felt his leadership. He wasn't the man building a life. He became the man rearranging his life around her. And nothing kills attraction faster than a man who gives up his mission. The Stoic lesson Marcus Aurelius said, "A man's worth is no greater than his ambitions." That's the essence of this chapter. Your ambition, your mission, is what gives you value, It's what sets you apart. When you stay committed to it, you radiate strength. When you abandon it, you become forgettable. A Stoic man never trades his mission for comfort. He never abandons his path for temporary affection, because he knows the man who keeps building, keeps growing, keeps leading, never runs out of options. The man who gives it all up, he runs out of himself. Why men bend? Older men bend for one main reason: fear. They think, if I don't give her everything, she'll leave. So they compromise. They shift their routines. They give up their edge. They believe love means surrender. But here's the paradox. The more you surrender your mission for her, the faster she loses respect. Because what she wanted wasn't a man who worshipped her. What she wanted was a man she could look up to. The masculine alternative. So, what should you do? Stay on mission always. Wake up early even if she wants to sleep in. Take the business trip even if she complains. Go to the gym even if she pouts. Stick to your code even when she tests you. Not to punish her. Not to prove anything. But because your mission is who you are. And here's the beauty of it. The right woman won't fight your mission. She'll respect it. She'll want to be part of it. She'll admire the discipline that makes you unshakable. Another real example: Dan, 50, was dating a woman in her 20s. She admired his drive. But after a few months, she started testing him. She asked why he spent so much time on his projects. She hinted that he should slow down, take more days off, skip the gym to just relax. Old Dan would have bent, but this time he didn't. He told her calmly, "This is my life. My mission comes first. If that doesn't work for you, that's okay." Instead of pulling away, she leaned in. Why? Because she saw that his mission was non-negotiable. And that's what made him magnetic. Signs: you're losing your mission. You cancel plans with friends or work to see her. You stop training. Stop reading. Stop building. You spend more time waiting for her texts than working on yourself. You feel guilty for putting your goals first. If those sound familiar, you're drifting, and drifting kills respect. Bottom line: never lose your mission for a woman, especially a younger one, because women don't fall for men who make them the mission. They fall for men who already have one. Your mission is what makes you magnetic. It's what gives you edge, presence, and gravity. Without it, you're just another man seeking validation. So, stay the course. Build, train, lead. Let her feel the weight of a man who refuses to bend for comfort. And if she leaves because you won't give up your mission, let her go. Because the man who stays true to his path never ends up empty. He ends up respected, desired, remembered. That's the Stoic way. And that's the only way to keep both her respect and your own. So let's bring this full circle. You don't lose younger women because of your age. You lose them because you give up the very things that make you a man. You shrink yourself to fit into her world. You become her therapist. You chase her validation. You perform instead of lead. You project fantasies. You accept being the backup plan. And worst of all, you lose your mission. And every time you do, you give away your frame. You give away your edge. You give away the respect she craves but will never admit. But here's the truth, you don't have to. A stoic man doesn't bend. He doesn't beg. He doesn't chase. He leads. He sets the standard. He walks away when respect is gone. He stays on mission, no matter who enters or exits his life. That's the kind of man a younger woman can't forget. Not because he tried to be young, but because he stood firm in what age gave him presence, wisdom, unshakable standards. So if this hit you, I want you to prove it. Drop this in the comments right now. I stay on mission. Because that's the code. That's the frame. That's the difference between being a man she plays with for a season and a man she respects for a lifetime. If you're tired of chasing, tired of bending, tired of shrinking, then subscribe to this channel. Not just for tips,